there. This is RomWills coming back at you with yet another video. Once again, it is Sovereign Saturday. Use the examples of successful men. Use the examples because, look, let's just be real. Sometimes when we're in our own worlds, it's hard for us to think about being successful, for us being sovereign, for us doing anything. Because maybe it's the world we're in. Because everybody tends to be, in their own world. If you coming from like maybe a poor background or even a middle class background where everybody has to work hard every day, that can be tough for you. Because you're not seeing it every day, somebody just really being successful, being sovereign. But there's plenty of stories out there. In fact, you might even know somebody in your circle who's done something. Use those as examples. Like learn from them, even if you can talk to them. Maybe if lucky enough, they can mentor you. Use them. Find out what they did. Now, understand something when I say this. You don't want to be exactly like them because you can't be. You're you. But you can say, oh, okay, this person went through this, was able to do this. Okay, what can I learn from it? This person went through this. Maybe this person worked up from a very jacked up background to really doing something. Maybe this man went to prison, but then he studied, he did everything. Just know that just because somebody else did something means you can do it too. It's not impossible. It's not impossible because it's tough out there. Because let's be real, when we're talking about being a sovereign man, the vast majority of men out here, vast majority of people out here are not sovereign. The vast majority of people are suffering. Even with the times now, people are talking about what's happening with the economy. Most people are suffering, but I guarantee, it's not even a speculation, but I guarantee somebody's doing well. Somebody is surviving. I'll use myself for an example. I have never noticed a recession. I've been through several. When I was going through the last great recession, I was actually making more money. I didn't really notice, even though people were telling me stuff, I just kept working hard at what I was doing. I just kept working hard. Of course I had like a regular full-time job and then I had my business, but I was just kept going anyway. That's the mindset that you have to have, all right? You have to keep going, like pay attention to people, or if somebody, maybe you might meet somebody somewhere who's doing real well, talk to them, find out what they're doing. Don't just watch these videos. Like if you see somebody doing well, and you're in a position to talk to them, say, hey, what did you do to get to that level? And this not saying, like I said, this ain't saying try to be them, because you're not them. But you can learn an example. You can learn a lesson. You can check out what they did. And if you get somebody who tell you their pitfalls, you can avoid those pitfalls. You can avoid them. Remember, like every conversation, everything. You might not even talk with somebody. Like I remember, I told the story when I was in college, and there was a young man who worked in the cafeteria. And like I said, looking back, he might have been on the spectrum, like high functioning on the spectrum. But he would see me reading a book all the time. I always had a book in my hands, and he actually asked me about it. Then all of a sudden he started reading books and all of that. He used the example. Sometimes you can be an example, but use the example. See what they're doing. Instead of worrying about the person that's going through heck and like commiserating with them, which many people do, find out who's doing well. Find out who's driving that nice car despite everything. See who's walking well. And with social media now, you can do that. And in fact, they have channels on YouTube where someone will talk with millionaires. Find out what they're doing. Find out all the hard work. Because if they can do it, you have to have the attitude you can do it too. Because you have to do it. I mean, look, there's no ifs, ands, and buts, but it can be done. Because even with everything happening now, there's somebody still doing well. There's still somebody going through something and they were able to get out of it. And see, that's the thing. Use those examples. When you see those successful men, don't be like some people do and hate on them like, oh, why they making it? It's like, oh, wait a minute. How you doing something? And even if you in a position, to really sit down and talk with them, take them to lunch or something. Take them to lunch, ask them what they're doing. You know, there was a young lady recently who, she wanted to do well on social media. She wanted to do well on YouTube. She actually took me to lunch. She spent her money, and now she's starting to do well. Do what you had to do. Talk with them. If they're around you, if you're in a position to meet with them, if you're in a position to watch them, and especially even if you're working with them. Let's say you have a job, you're working for someone successful. Look at what they're doing. Just look at what they're doing. You don't even have to ask them. What's their mindset? How are they walking? How are they talking? What are they doing to be successful? Pay attention to that. When you see successful businesses in your area, what are they doing? When I had my medical emergency and I was in a therapy center, one of the things I did was really pay attention to how the owner of that therapy center behaved. And he was somebody who reached out to people. He was friendly. He made everybody feel like they were special. I was like, oh, okay. You know, and you have to do that. You have to do that. Because it's tough. Like I said at the beginning, if you're in a position where you're coming from a poor background, you tend to see other people who are poor around you. You tend to see people who are not successful. Like sometimes even on my Deep Thought channel, when I talk about the days, I said the most prominent days could be somebody in your own family. They're not doing well. Sometimes you have to look outside of that. Who's being successful? Who's living well? Who's happy? Who's having a happy life? I remember on one of my 1,000 jobs, I worked at this gym, and we had quite a few men in there. They could bench press 400 pounds, but yet they were very successful. I remember one was very successful, and he could bench press 400 pounds, had a beautiful wife, beautiful children, and driving a nice car. And this was in the mid-2000s. And I remember one time he was doing business with somebody in the locker room. I walked in the locker room to do something, came out, and he was right there. And then, you know, I was out for a couple hours, went back in the locker room. He's still in there doing something. But he had a certain way he was carrying himself, and I just paid attention. I didn't even ask him. And there were a couple other guys, I would just pay attention to them. They'd come in there, work out, but they were doing very well. I learned a lot from them. Use their examples. When you're around men like that who are doing well, just pay attention to them. Pay attention. If you can talk with them, talk with them. And the best thing, if you can work with them, learn from them. That's the best thing no matter what. Learn from them, all right? So anyway, that's all I have for today. Keep rising to become the sovereign man that you are meant to be. Peace and blessings.